So, folks, we are in the last 24 hours before the election. By, I don't know, maybe 26, 28 hours from now, we should have, I believe we will have an answer prior to late night of who wins. Okay? I think about 28 hours from now, we will know who's going to become president of the United States in the next 4 years. Okay? And I think this for some pretty compelling reasons. And now we have more data points than just the Seltzer poll out of Iowa that demonstrated like anywhere from 10 to 13, I mean, frankly, anywhere from like a 7 to 13 point swing in the polling. It's massive, that poll out of Iowa. But now we have more data points. And I want to hammer home just how cooked the Trump campaign is right now. Because it is like a day away until the election. And this is the rhetoric being employed by the Trump campaign. This is Donald Trump on the campaign trail. Unforced error here.
Oh, those Penn State guys, I wanted them to wrestle the migrants. I told, the UFC, Dana White, they killed me in this. I told Dana you ought to set up your League of Champions, unbelievable, best fighters in the world, and a migrant league. At the end, I want the migrant to go against the champion, and I think the migrant might actually win. That's how nasty some of these guys are. But I don't know. I doubt that. I tell you, I felt very comfortable with those big Penn State wrestlers.
Guys, if you're running a winning campaign and you're like a day away from the election, do you go off on a weird tangent about how like you're fantasizing about bringing back like bum fights, or I guess not bum fights. Like I guess like the better comparison here would be like when like slave owners would force their slaves to fight as like a sport. Like what gets shown in Django Unchained. Like this is like some crazy like like this is some crazy like pre-Civil War racism surfacing here. Okay? Like yeah, Mandingo fight. I think that's the that's the term. Yeah, it is. This is not a winning strategy, okay? No. Like, and that's the thing. Like, Kiwi Teepee, his followers listen to that. Mostly, the like most indoctrinated ones are just like, yeah, that would be great. Haha, it's so funny. But like, it is truly astonishingly terrible to a degree that's not really encapsulatable in words. And that gets through to some Trump supporters, guys. Like, that reaches through to his base. Okay? It reaches through to his base in a way that is negative for his campaign. Okay? And, oh, maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's a joke. Okay. Sure. Weird joke, though. Let's take a look at another joke from one of his other recent rallies, okay?
Countries weren't accepting him back until I came. With Barack Hussein Obama, I call him the Great Divider. He's the Great Divider. And he hit me. Oh, and Michelle hit me. I was so nice to her. Out of respect, I was so nice. She hit me the other day. I was going to say to my people, am I allowed to hit her now? They said, take it easy, sir. Sir, take it easy. My geniuses, I'm telling you, they said, just take it easy. Oh, what do you mean? She said bad about me. I can't hit back. Sir, you're winning. Just relax. Is that good or bad advice? I think it's neutral. You know what the response is there? It's like, nah. What do the ladies from North Carolina think about hit back or just relax? Huh? Oh, they say hit back. You say hit back. I'd actually love to hit back, but we'll hold it a little while. We'll hold it. I'd love to hit back, but oh no, she took some shots at me the other day. I said, whoa, what have we here? I'd never heard that before. I've always treated her very nicely. But he's the great divider, Barack Hussein Obama. He's a great divider.
I mean, dog, he's up on the stage talking about hitting the former president's wife. Like this is alienating. Hit back with words or, well, that's the thing, right? If you're a woman and you're a Trump supporter, there is a certain percentage of Trump supporter that hears this and goes, "Oh, he's talking about laying hands on her. He's talking about physically assaulting Michelle Obama." And those women don't want to vote for Donald Trump. It might not be like a huge percentage, but this effect is alienating women away from Donald Trump. And that is part of a calculation, okay? The Trump campaign basically, when Kamala Harris entered the race, looked at the polling data that they had and said, we're pivoting away from trying to appeal to women. She's just going to win that demographic. Instead, we're just going to focus on rallying men. We are going to focus on getting men for Trump. And this is when you start hearing like Trump and Trump surrogates start talking about, we're doing it whether women like it or not. This is when you start hearing, rhetoric that seems to be references to domestic violence against women. This is where you start hearing like a doubling down on like, no, actually controlling women's bodies is fine and good. As, we should do that. And this is when you start seeing that rhetorical turn. So one of the questions has been, how does this go, right? How does this rhetorical approach to the campaign trail, how does that actually affect Donald Trump's support? Because a lot of people assumed, well, we're gonna bleed women voters, but we're gonna win it back in like the young man voting demographic. And kind of what is shown by the Seltzer poll out of Iowa is that they aren't winning it back by nearly enough. They're not winning the young man vote. They're just hastening the alienation of the white woman vote. Okay? And, again, I want to show you guys my electoral prediction prior to the Seltzer poll. Okay? Prior to that poll coming out, I think there's a very strong likelihood that Kamala Harris wins all of these states. After the Seltzer poll, we got a data point that seemed to indicate that all of the traditional polling is off in a pretty substantial way. But folks, we have new data, okay? One of the more respected polling organizations out there is Marist, or Marist. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that quite, but Marist poll, okay? They came out with their last minute polling data just today, Okay? And it shows in their polling, Harris and Walz are up by about 4%, which is, well, that's pretty good. But one of the things that I found the most interesting about the breakdown of their data comes from the gender divide here. Okay? Let's see, where is it? Yes, here we go. The gender gap nationally has been cut by more than half. A 15-point gender gap now exists compared with 34 points in early October. Harris, 47, has carved into Trump's advantage, 51 among men. Now only 4 points separate those two, the two among these voters. Trump previously had a 16-point advantage with men. So to kind of reiterate that for you guys, Donald Trump's advantage with men between October and now fell by 12 points. 12 points, guys. Their entire strategy hinged on broadening that gap from 12 to like 16. Okay? If they had been able to broaden that gap to get more men on board, that number would have gone up, not down. So what we're seeing here in this polling is like a very, very seismic shift. And again, this is just one poll, but it kind of adds to the perception here that like the polling is skewed in the broad aggregate. Okay? And I mean, this is a polling of likely voters. It's meant to be taken as a nationally representative sample. And I mean, guys, I think when you take this and the Iowa poll together, if indeed Donald Trump's support among men has fallen by 12 points, like we aren't even looking at my blowout possibility map, okay? Just a reminder, this was my conservative estimate. This was my conservative estimate before last minute polling came in. Okay? And I really want to hammer home. Oh god, did I accidentally shut it? Nope, here it is. This was my blowout prediction map. Okay?
Rad Undercliff says, vote your life just might depend on it.
True, Catalina Gearbox. People need to go vote. But if let me put it this way. If the Iowa poll is indicative, I think this map becomes a reality. But if the shift among men has truly been by 12 points away from Donald Trump, I think it looks even better than this map. I know that's kind of inconceivable, but like I think that if that shift away from Trump by men is indicative of like a nationwide trend, like we start seeing Indiana, Missouri, Kansas in play, like we start seeing even more insane things than like Texas going blue. Like we're in like some wild, wacky territory. Okay? Patrick Lucas, thank you for being a member. For Jack and all you beautiful people, thank you for helping me through such a dark time. Anytime. Peace and love to you as well. And also thank you for the gifted membership. Yeah, I do have to say, if you are in a red state, go vote. vote blue. Okay? You could literally help flip your state if this is on the table here. Okay? And I don't want to get like too high on the hopium here, folks. Because again, it's just a few polls coming out here, but like, we're seeing some wacky numbers, like deflated enthusiasm with Trump among his likely voter base, heightened enthusiasm for Kamala Harris among her likely voter base. The fundamentals are kind of lining up here in a way where it makes me look at the electoral map and go, this is gonna be even bigger than I had hoped, you know? How do you feel about swap the vote with protest votes avoiding swing states? I'm fine with it. Yeah, things are weird to say the least. But guys, let me put it this way. I think that the Seltzer polls showed something that is real and that is across state lines. And I also think the aggregate polling has undervalued women turning out to vote and minorities turning out to vote in this particular election cycle. And I think we're about to see something big. You know, that is my prediction. I guess I think we're going to see over 400 electoral votes for Harris. And you know, I'll eat crow if I'm wrong tomorrow. I'll eat crow if I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be
Prop
good.
79 in CO. Makes me wish I was still voting there.
What is Prop 79? Let's take a look real quick. Oh, the Colorado Amendment 79, Right to Abortion and Health Insurance Coverage Initiative. A yes vote supports creating a right to abortion in the state constitution and allowing the use of public funds for abortion. Nice. Yeah, like, abortion is literally on the ballot in a lot of states, and women are turning out. Women are turning out, guys. Older women in particular. The Seltzer poll shows that they're turning out like 2-to-1 for Harris. That's an insane ratio. Still nervous, but hopeful. Yeah, and like, obviously take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt here. I'm just going off of what I've seen. And frankly, we all know how narcissistic Donald Trump is, right? We all know that he's almost constitutionally incapable of realizing that, like, like having an accurate view of his own situation. Like, he's just like kind of delusional in that way. But guys, he must have access to some pretty abysmal internal polling. Because this dropped in The Independent today. He's realizing that he could lose. Harris's people are confident, and the Trump campaign is panicking. The mood couldn't be more different amongst the staffers accompanying the two presidential candidates. Guys. Yeah. Another national poll released by NPR and Marist College on Monday showed Harris garnering support from 51% of respondents, compared to Trump's 47%, a lead greater than the survey's 3.5-point margin of error. And the final NBC News poll of the election cycle showed Trump hemorrhaging support from Black and Latino voters, which, by the way, the Trump campaign has been touting as a major win for him, making inroads with Black and Latino voters. Like, the fact that he's losing, like, men broadly, and also the category that he's been kind of banking on for support from minority folks, he must be seeing some dire numbers, guys. Dire numbers. Do you think that's why there's been an increase in rhetoric about repealing women's right to vote, anxiety from the other side about losing because of it? Kippy, it's a doubling and a tripling down on what I was describing earlier. They pivoted away from trying to court the woman vote and are instead trying to court like the men vote. And there's a certain kind of like frat boy man that is attracted to like, yeah, we should disenfranchise women. Yeah, the state should mandate girlfriends for all of us, you know, but it's not that banking an entire political campaign on that is kind of not even kind of insane. It is insane. And it's clearly not working, but there's no way they can backtrack on that now. They kind of dug their own grave here. Yeah, I guess a better way of putting it would be, like you said, GamerG, courting the incel vote. Like that's what they're trying to do right now, and that's just not a large enough demographic. Yeah. Well, Harris has shown to be gathering support from 87% of black voters. That crazy momentum among the Harris campaign. I mean, like, you don't go out on the campaign trail and talk about hitting one of the most beloved women figures on the national political stage if you're trying to court the vote of women. you just don't do that. That's like going out and saying you want to throw fisticuffs with Oprah. Like, it's political suicide. But they've just embraced that as a matter of strategy for weeks now. Weeks. And this is what I mean when I say, like, the polling has a dire issue with it, because my guess is the fundamentals haven't changed that much in, like, the last week. My guess is that pollsters are realizing, oh shit, we need to weight our data a bit differently. I think that suddenly there's a number of polling outfits that are like, oh yeah, we probably need to revamp our calculations. But let's keep reading this, because this is fascinating stuff. Privately, Democratic sources who spoke to The Independent are projecting confidence, with one swing state party chair noting what they described as a serious crossover vote among Republicans and explosive turnout in early voting among key constituencies, including Latinos. Trump's response to a Biden gaffe in which the president appeared to call the ex-president's supporters garbage, in return seemed to have only prolonged the news cycle stemming from Hinchcliffe's racist diatribe. His decision to stage a photo op with a garbage truck looks to have failed to shift the focus back to Biden, and instead reminded Latino voters of what had touched off the controversy to begin with. Because, yeah, Biden called him garbage and his supporters garbage because they called Puerto Rico garbage. And so rather than like rallying the base like, yeah, we're not garbage, we'll show them, it just reminded every single Latino voter what Donald Trump and his campaign think about Latinos broadly. Not just Puerto Ricans, but Latinos broadly. Okay? So, like, this is... We're in, like, some blowout territory. I think if the Trump campaign had been more competent this time around, it'd be a much closer election. But they're out of money, and they are out of competence. They don't have anyone who's competent at the campaign anymore, or who can tell Donald Trump no when it comes to these issues. So instead, it's just crazy town over there. They have no volunteers. They have no ground game. They can't get out the vote. They're relying on... Guys, do you know why today every Republican talking head was talking about Peanut the squirrel? Serious question. Do you guys know why? It's because they don't have a ground game. So instead of having a ground game, folks, they're relying on social media trends to try and get out their vote. This is what they're trying to force a viral moment to like get Republican voters out. That's what they're trying to do. Because they don't have a ground game to actually canvass or phone bank or text bank. All they have is grasping at social media trends. Oh yeah, and if you don't know about anything about Peanut the squirrel, it's just a story about like the New York Department of Environmental Affairs confiscated a squirrel pet and euthanized it.
My
It's
vote
very
has
sad.
gone from a hold your nose vote to an enthusiastic one due to reporting like yours. Thank.
Fallen Hearts, thank you for the $5 dono, and I appreciate that. I'm glad I can assuage your mind a little bit. So, like, yeah, it's a sad story, but it's not like... This is not something that a normal campaign would focus on. But there's a level of desperation to it that seems to indicate to me this is all they have. This is all they have. Oh, apparently the squirrel bit a cop and they had to do a rabies test on the squirrel, and yeah, that usually kills an animal. So, yeah, unfortunate. But like, it really does seem like they don't have anything, and that's why they're grasping at this story. So, we're going to continue reading here, okay? And while the Trump campaign had hoped to make hay out of an Associated Press report revealing the White House communications team had tried to doctor the official transcript of Biden's remarks to make it look as if he hadn't said what he said, Trump stepped on his own campaign's messaging over the weekend with a series of bizarre and unhinged appearances. At one rally, he even appeared to fillet a malfunctioning microphone, which we've seen. It's bizarre, to say the least. One Democratic operative suggested that the stars had aligned to bring about the ex-president's collapse at the exact time Harris had been surging. Aaron Sorkin couldn't have written it better, they said. Also, please, for the love of God, people in politics, stop watching West Wing. Please. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. It's poisoned your brains, and you think that giving like an epic own liberal speech will fix the problems of society. You just have to go out there and own the conservatives with your brilliant rhetoric, and by virtue of being more right, you will win all conflict. It is brain rot for the liberals. Do not engage with it, okay? Do not engage with it. What's West Wing? It was an incredibly popular drama television series written by Aaron Sorkin, where everyone who is the smartest boy in the room constantly like wins out in the end. But that's not how life works. Point in fact, Elon Musk. Okay? But let's continue. That's just a little aside. It's my personal grudge against the West Wing. Okay. We're in some pretty interesting things here right at the end. At Trump's appearances this past weekend, the arenas he visited looked noticeably emptier, and the candidate himself looked lost at times, vacillating between bewilderment and menace. He suggested that an assassination attempt against him would need to shoot through a packed media contingent to have a chance at hitting him in one particularly concerning moment. Which, by the way, is a very charitable way of writing out what Donald Trump said, which was essentially that he wouldn't mind if an assassin shot up a bunch of reporters at one of his rallies. Again, not something you say on the campaign trail right before the election if your campaign is going well. Okay? But this is the last paragraph. One Republican operative who has worked with the ex-president's campaign in the past said it's clear that Trump is decompensating in response to the late Harris surge. Quote, he's realizing that he could lose the election, go to prison, and maybe die there, they said. This is not the kind of leak that comes out if a campaign is doing well. The polling seems to be moving in the way that is positive toward it seems to be moving in a way that's towards the landslide prediction from the other day. If you guys watched the conversation I had with Tricolor Analytics, Christina, our very own GamerG in chat here, you'll know that the landslide map is bonkers. You know, it is states that hadn't been predicted to become swing states for another election cycle or even two going blue.